Hey there, we are going to go over jewelry, hair braiding, and makeup. Okay. As people are coming out of Christianity, they we have to strip off the old and bring on the new. The things that we were taught and that we learned in Christianity, we need to take those off. We need to put it away and learn brand new and fresh, because there are a lot of things that are taught in Christianity and other religions that are not necessarily scriptural. They sound good and everything, but they're not scriptural. So we're going to go over some things in the scriptures about jewelry, about makeup, and about braiding of the hair. Now, a lot of people think that it's a sin to wear braids, and they get this from First Peter chapter 3, and they also get this from First Timothy 2. And the scripture says, I also want the women to dress modestly with decency and propriety, adorning themselves. Now, in some of the scripture versions, it says, without the braiding of the hair, but this scripture says, not with elaborate hairstyles, or gold or pearls or expensive clothes, but with good deeds appropriate for women who profess to worship. Okay? So some people take this scripture to mean that it's completely wrong to wear braids, and that they should not wear gold or silver ornaments, that they shouldn't wear pearls or any type of jewelry of any sort, because this is wrong, you're sinning, and you're sinning against the Creator. This ideology is so far from the truth. Now, you have to also understand that these scriptures are taken from Paul's letters. Paul's letters are just that. They're epistles, they're letters to congregations. They are not laws, commandments, and statutes. That's what you have to understand, okay? And it's not like his scriptures are really saying that it's wrong and that you're not supposed to do it. And so it's not like I'm trying to disobey or I'm trying to be bad because it's just something that I want to do. No, not at all. They messed up the translation. The translation has been messed up completely. The scripture is not saying that it's wrong. And I'm going to prove that to you today, that it's not wrong to wear makeup, to wear jewelry, and to braid your hair. Now, some people take a look at the book of Enoch and they say, hey, the fallen angels taught you how to put on makeup, and they taught the mankind how to make bracelets and earrings and all sorts of things like that. So, whoa, that's bad. Don't do it. Okay, that's true that the fallen angels, and specifically it was the fallen angel Azazel that taught men how to make these bracelets and women how to put on makeup and how to beautify themselves. This is absolutely true. The fallen angels did teach them that. And if you continue reading on in Enoch chapter 8, you will see that were a lot of other things that they taught mankind how to do. I mean, look at all this technology that we have today. The fallen angels actually are teaching these men that are in tune with them, Satan's seed, how to do these things. But does that necessarily mean that it's wrong to wear them? Now, what I take from the scriptures is that we must do all things in moderation. The excessive makeup, the excessive jewelry, like wearing 5 bracelets on your arm. No, why do you need 5 bracelets on your arm? Why do you need a bunch of earrings in your ear? That's not moderation. We should do all things in moderation, things that aren't going to draw attention to ourselves. And the braiding of hair, it's talking about the elaborate, crazy hairstyles that people tend to wear. And I pulled this picture up because I thought this was quite excessive. And I don't want to offend anybody in Africa, because I know that a lot of the different styles of braiding and everything that they do there has to do with their culture and who people are, and identifies them, whether they're married, whether they're unmarried, which tribe they belong to, and so on and so forth. So I am not trying to offend anybody from Africa. So please, I don't mean to offend you at all by saying that what she's wearing is excessive. So here's the scripture again in 1 Timothy 2:9. I also want women to dress modestly. This is not what I consider to be modest. I don't know, maybe you do, but it's not really modest. It's excessive. And it says, with decency and propriety, adorning yourself, not with elaborate hairstyles. Elaborate hairstyles. Look at this photo. This is an elaborate hairstyle, or gold pearls or expensive clothes. Now, I don't want anyone to think that I'm beating up on people from Africa, because the people in America, they got it bad. Take a look at this here. Now, this lady, she has money plastered all up on the side of her head. This one has Oreo written on the back, on her head, and it's all blue. This one has Skittles. It's what, bright green and bright purple, pink. This one has an Easter basket on her head, for crying out loud. Now, this is what you call excessive and extreme elaborate hairstyles. This is what Paul is cautioning against. This is not what you consider to be modest. This is not something that's becoming of someone that worships the Creator, to walk around like this. Now let's go to braids. Imagine a world with people like us with coarse hair without the invention of chemicals. Some of y'all love that creamy crack. Isn't that what they call relaxer, creamy crack? Some of y'all love that stuff, can't stay away from it. And so just imagine a world where we don't have chemicals and our hair looks just like this in this photo. And this is how a lot of us walk around, including myself, because my hair is natural. Imagine melanated hair in its natural state with no ponytail holders, with no relaxers, and probably up to a certain time period, no combs or brushes. Just these fingers here to comb through the hair and straighten it out as much as possible. Now imagine that. Now, what are you gonna do with your hair if you have no ponytail holders and relaxers and jerry curls and all this other stuff to put in your hair to make it look good? You're gonna put braids in it, right? And if you're not gonna put braids in it, you'll probably put some locks in it and twist it to make it look nice, to make it look neat, to make it look clean and manageable. So this is what our ancestors did. Now take a look at these photos here, the Egyptian hieroglyphics here. They actually are displaying people with braids and locks in their hair. This lady over here to the far left, she actually has, it looks like she has braids or locks. I can't really tell exactly which one she has. The man in the middle, yes, he has braids in his hair. I mean, men didn't have razors back there, the shavers that shave off all their hair when they go to the barber shop. They didn't have those back then. So they had to make do with their hair as well. So what did they do? They put braids in it. And so is this man over here on the far right. He has braids in his hair as well. So it wasn't just the women that were wearing braids. It was also the men that were wearing braids back in those days. Now, depictions of women with cornrows on the hieroglyphics have been found in Stone Age paintings in the Tassila Plateau of the Sahara and have been dated back as far as 3000 BC, guys, 3000 BC. Here's a look at some more. Look at these. These look like they could possibly be locks. And these look like they can also be locks as well, or possibly braids. They look very similar to one another. Now, the cultural significance and roots of braiding can be traced back to the different African tribes, as I was saying earlier. Braids are part of tribal customs in Africa. The braid patterns signify the tribe and help to identify the member of that tribe. In Africa, historically, braids could be used as a way to express religion, kinship, status, age, ethnicity, among many other attributes. This tradition of female styling in cornrows has remained popular throughout Africa, particularly in the Horn of Africa and West Africa. Now, take a look at this. This is during the slavery period. Many Africans wore braids both as a way to stay connected to their heritage and to assert their independence. They braided their hair in styles that also fit with the requirements of the slave masters when they told them, look, you need to be neat, you need to be clean, you need to be tidy. So they braided their hair in order to meet their specifications of their oppressors, the plantation owners. Now here is a picture of a woman that braided her daughter's hair up and she put rice in it. And this is a custom that a lot of the Africans had. And then those that were brought into the slave trade, they actually did this. They braided up their own hair and their children's hair. They put seeds in it. They put rice in it. And this is before their journey through the Middle Passage on their way to enslavement to the Americas and the Caribbean. So braiding was survival. They did this so they could eat. And then also they planted these seeds that they carried with them on their journey, because the strand of rice that is found in Africa has actually been found over in South America around Suriname. And Suriname is actually on the northern top part of South America. It's right there by the Guyanas. And that's African rice that's there. Now, throughout the rest of the Americas and the Caribbean, it's Asian rice that you find. But here, specifically in Suriname, where this lady was braiding her daughter's hair and showing people that, you know, they put rice in it and they put seeds in it, this strand of rice was found there, which is proof that the African women braided up their hair and they carried the seeds and the rice across the Middle Passage on their transatlantic journey. Now, braiding hair was also something that the slaves did as well. And there's a main focus on South America. From some escaped slaves in South America, braids were a survival mechanism and led to freedom, because they made maps out of the braids, the patterns that they would braid in their hair. They made maps out of them. Some of you probably didn't know about that. And since slaves were rarely given the privilege of writing materials, they actually made messages and maps in their hair so that people can follow this roadmap and they know which way to turn, which way to go, if they have to go past a railroad. They actually braided this in their hair. And this act of using the hair as a tool for resistance is said to have been evident all across South America. This is ingenious for people that are only 3/5 human. This is what they call us. This is what they say about us. Very ingenious. Now, I want to talk about the golden calf for a minute. Let's talk about jewelry. In Exodus 32, when Moses was up on the Mount Sinai, he was getting the tablets, the 10 Commandments from the Creator. He was gone for a long time. And so the Israelites, they became weary. And they were just like, okay, this guy, Moses, as if they didn't know him, like, he helped them escape from Egyptian bondage. And they're talking about this fella, like this guy, this dude, really? Are you serious? They're just like, we don't know when this dude is ever coming back. We don't know what happened to him or what's going on, what he's doing, because he was up there for 40 days, 40 nights. And so they were just like, look, Aaron, you need to make us a god. We need someone to go up ahead of us, a god to go ahead of us and lead us. So come make us gods that will go before us. And so Aaron says, all right, take off your gold earrings that your wives and your sons and your daughters are wearing and bring them to me. My purpose for bringing this up is the fact that, yes, the sons and daughters of Zion, they wore earrings. They wore bracelets. The women wore anklets. They wore nose rings. They probably even wore toe rings. So you have to understand that this is not a sin like Christianity likes to think that it is. The daughters of Zion wore jewelry. Now, I want to take you to another Bible story in Genesis 24:47. Remember when Eleazar, which was Abraham's servant, he went ahead of him. Abraham told him, he was up in age, and he told him, he says, go find my boy Isaac a wife. Find my boy Isaac a wife to marry. And Eleazar just, he wasn't up for it at first. But Abraham told him everything that was going to go down. He was just like, well, if she says this, then do this. If she does this, then she's the one. In order to make his trip successful, Abraham, he pretty much guided him. So Eliezer went on that journey to find a wife for his son, Abraham's son Isaac, and he ran into Rebekah. She did everything that Abraham said that she was going to do, the right woman for her son. And so he asked Rebekah, whose daughter are you? And she replied, the daughter of Bethuel, son of Nahor, whom Milcah bore to him. So what did he do? He pulled out the gifts that Abraham gave him to give to the girl that his son Isaac was going to marry. So he put a nose ring on her and also bracelets on her wrists. If it was a sin, do you really think that Abraham would have told him to give these gifts to this woman that's going to be my son's wife? Also in Isaiah 3:16, the Creator says, the daughters of Zion are haughty, walking with outstretched necks, flirting with their eyes, strutting along with swaying hips, with ornaments jingling on their ankles. So they wore anklets, they wore jewelry. It's not a sin to wear jewelry, despite what Christianity says. You have to unplug from all of that brainwashing or from all of those false teachings that you got when you were in Christianity. Here's another account in the scriptures in Ezekiel 16:12. Now this was figurative, but you have to understand that the Creator literally gave his people everything. He showered with them with the best, with the finest of everything. And it says here in verse 11, I adorned you with jewelry, and I put bracelets on your wrists and a chain around your neck. I put rings in your nose. I put earrings in your ears and a beautiful crown upon your head. They were all blinged out. So you were adorned with gold and silver, and your clothes were fine linen, silk, embroidered cloth. You ate fine flour, honey, and oil, and you became very beautiful and rose to be a queen, speaking of the nation of Israel. So although this is figurative, he literally bestowed upon his people the best, the finest. He gave them all these things. But the moral of this story is that we should be modest and we should do everything in moderation. If we're going to wear makeup, wear it lightly or don't wear it at all. We don't need it. We're beautiful daughters of Zion. We don't need all that makeup. But if you must wear it in moderation. Wear it very lightly. There's nothing wrong with that. And also, if you're going to wear jewelry, wear it in moderation. Don't put 12 rings on your finger, 10 bracelets on your arms. I mean, what do you need all that for? A whole bunch of earrings in your ears? This is not becoming of daughters of Zion. You know, a whole bunch of anklets and a bunch of toe rings and things of such as that nature. Be modest. Do it in moderation. And then the same thing with the hairstyles. Wear your hair in moderation. Don't put all these crazy hairdos and wild colors and purple and orange and blue and red and green and looking like a whole rainbow. We don't need to do all that. Do it in moderation. Do it in moderation. 1 Peter 3:3-4. So I'm going to read the scripture again. It says the exact same thing that the scripture in Timothy said. And I want to see if you can understand it now that we are going to go over it again. Your beauty should not be from the outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of the inner self. Let your inner beauty shine through. The unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in the Creator's sight. These are the qualities that are of great worth in his sight. We all have things that we need to work on. I need to work on that gentle and quiet, mild spirit. We all have things that we need to work on, right? None of us are perfect. But if you're going to do it, whatever it is that you're doing, do it in moderation. It's the same thing with drinking. In Christianity, they try to say that drinking is a sin, but it's not a sin. Drunkenness is the sin. It says, do not get drunk. It says that drunkards will not inherit the kingdom. It does not say in 1 Corinthians 6, 9, and 10. It does not say that people that drink are not going to inherit the kingdom. No, it does not say that. In 1 Corinthians 6, 9, and 10, it says drunkards will not inherit the kingdom. And if it was really that much of a sin, for those of you that do believe in the Messiah, his first miracle would not have been turning water to wine and causing everybody to drink. And I'm sure he turned a few bottles up himself, or a few cups or glasses, whatever they were drinking out of, himself, and took it to the head. Okay? There's nothing wrong with drinking. There's nothing wrong with wearing a little bit of makeup. There's nothing wrong with wearing jewelry in moderation. There's nothing wrong with wearing braids in your hair. And if anyone tells you that, just ignore them. They don't know what they're talking about. There's nothing wrong with wearing your hair braided and wearing jewelry and makeup, as long as it's done in moderation. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. Let me know what you think in the comments.